Hello everybody and welcome back to the Not Applicable Formula 1 channel. I hope you're well and I hope you had an exceptional Spanish Grand Prix. I certainly did. First of all, I just have to say thank you so much to everybody who subscribed over the course of the weekend. I was hoping to get to 50 subscribers before the Spanish Grand Prix. It was a big goal that I set myself. And we've absolutely smashed it. We were nearly at 70 of the day of the Grand Prix, and we've just continued to grow since then. So I want to say thank you so much. And thank you to everyone who gets involved in the comments. It is genuinely my favorite thing to do, is talk to you guys in the comments down below. So if you haven't already, you need to hit the subscribe button, hit the like button whilst you're down there, and leave a comment about the Spanish Grand Prix for me in the comments down below. But we're going to talk specifically everything that happened over the weekend, and I think it was a pretty exceptional Spanish Grand Prix, considering every single year, everybody looks at the Spanish Grand Prix on the calendar and it's like, maybe that's a weekend I'm actually a bit busy, I think. I need to do something else that weekend and maybe skip out on the Formula 1. And if you did this year, you missed an absolute exceptional race. It was amazing to see Hamilton throughout the weekend. Obviously got his 100th pole position. And on top of that, finished an entire 15.8 seconds in front of Max Verstappen after being taken over in the first corner. It was crazy to see going down to that first corner. We said, if something is going to happen, it is going to happen on the first lap. And it did not disappoint, because we had Max Verstappen take the lead and we also had Charles Leclerc taking third place. Like, it's the only opportunity you effectively get to overtake unless you're on a massive advantage, as we saw later on in the race with some of those drivers. But Max Verstappen had to be elated that he was ahead at this point. Starting on second on the grid, you're on the dirty side of the track to begin with. He just got such an amazing start, and Hamilton even said afterwards he didn't want to risk the rest of his race in that one corner. Obviously, with hindsight, you can say that, but he wanted to keep on the track, make sure he was okay, not lose another position to possibly Bottas and Leclerc, and even Ricciardo, who was, as you can see, sort of gaining on those cars in front of them. And I think Hamilton played this perfectly. As soon as he realised he was in second place, he knew he had to wait for the pit stops. The first pit stops came around. Hamilton came out still behind Verstappen, but gaining on him exceptionally well, and just found those medium tyres and switched them on to the nth degree. I think we saw the quality that Hamilton has. By the way, how come Hamilton hardly ever wins driver of the day? I know that he's set himself this exceptional standard, but even when I said it on stream, if you want to catch the streams live with us and have a chat during the race, I do that on the weekends as well. But during the stream, I was like, Hamilton driver of the day, easiest pick of my life. And people were still like, not sure. Like, he should have been in first after the first corner, blah, blah, blah. I was like, no, this man is electric. That is ridiculous to say. He hounded Max Verstappen the entire race, and then obviously got to that second pit stop and was like, right, I'm just going to absolutely go for this. You've got to say that Red Bull got the strategy completely wrong. Max Verstappen should have been ready, raring to go, just in case Hamilton did try and do the undercut. Instead of doing the undercut, they decided to keep Max Verstappen out and just see if Hamilton could make up the 23 seconds that he would have to do. And my goodness, did he? He was insanely quick. He made up that 22 seconds in like 20 laps. He was gaining at one point by 1.5 seconds a lap. That is ridiculous pace from Hamilton. And still, as I said, no idea how people can say he did not deserve driver of the day. He was amazing. On the other hand, though, Verstappen, you've got to say, got it wrong. And you could argue that Perez kind of got it wrong as well. Didn't have a great weekend again, ending up in 5th place there. So ended up behind Verstappen, Bottas, Leclerc. And yeah, Perez just still doesn't look happy in that car. He still doesn't look 100%. He's definitely getting there. But will that second seat Red Bull come back to bite him? I actually saw some statistics, and Perez is actually performing worse after 4 races than Albon and Gasly. And they both got gotten rid of very swiftly. So Perez has got something to do. He's going to really have to show his quality if he's going to continue on and catch the guys in front of him. Because, you know, Red Bull, if they're going to try and get this Constructors' Championship, if they're going to try and at least put up a fight with Mercedes, they're going to have to start catching very, very soon. Talking about the Constructors' Championship opposed to the drivers, Ferrari look amazing. I think we're starting to see that divide within the grid. I think we're going to have Mercedes and Red Bull top two. I think everyone's fairly happy with that. McLaren and Red Bull the next two down, and then the rest. I think Red Bull and and Mercedes are way too far away from the Ferraris at the minute, but I think Ferrari are just about in that group with the McLarens. And obviously McLaren and Ferrari both have a new driver, but they're both doing pretty well, I would say, and slowly getting to grips with the car over time. Charles Leclerc, consistency personified. A 4th place finish, a 6th place finish, a 4th place finish, a 6th place finish, a 4th place finish, a 6th place finish. Wherever he wants to finish, it's always 4th or 6th. And obviously he might continue that going into Monaco next weekend. His home Grand Prix, he has been so good. And you can just understand why Ferrari are putting all their eggs in the Charles Leclerc basket, because my goodness, he was very, very good on the weekend. Could he have kept that 3rd place? I think we just saw that the Mercedes car was just way too quick. Bottas actually had a bit of a rubbish weekend, in my opinion, because if you looked at how fast Hamilton was, if you looked at how well Hamilton switched on those tyres and got to grips with the track and just absolutely owned that race, you're expecting quite a similar thing from Bottas, but it just never really happened. Bottas didn't even end up with fastest lap. It was, yeah, just a bit of a nothingness from Bottas. Obviously, he got past Charles Leclerc again, and as I said, I just don't think the Ferraris are quite in that ballpark yet. But Leclerc doing an absolutely amazing job. Talking about McLaren, we finally had Ricciardo come in front of Norris. He creeped up on Norris, even if it is by just 4 points. I think this is the most exciting team that we've got this season. I'm really, really interested to see how this dynamic unfolds, because we've had Lando Norris, an absolutely amazing start to the season with that 3rd place finish as well. He looked incredibly good. Maybe came back to earth a little bit during the Spain race, obviously starting 9th, finishing 8th. It wasn't a vintage Norris weekend. I think we can all agree on that. But Ricciardo looked pretty good in the car, and he was still saying that, he's not 100% there yet. He's still finding his rhythm with it, still understanding the new team and getting to know everybody. I think we're going to have a real fight on our hands. And Norris started incredibly well last season, and Sainz sort of slowly grabbed those points throughout the season and then eventually ended up finishing above Norris. I think if we see a similar sort of thing again, as I said in my video about McLaren, it's going to be really interesting going into next season, the dynamic between these two. Is there going to be a number one driver? Are they going to have someone in mind if they're able to fight for a championship? Going to be very, very interesting to see. Moving slightly down the grid then, and then as I said, those top 4 teams I think are pretty much consolidated right now. Moving further down the grid, we had Ocon with a really surprising finish. Ocon actually coming in 9th, getting those points, being really consistent, and again, the Alpine car looked pretty decent over the course of the weekend. Yes, they maybe didn't have the race pace, but qualifying 5th is no mean feat, especially with the cars out there with the pace that they've got at the minute. Ocon looked amazingly good, and obviously even Alonso coming out afterwards saying that he needs to buck up his ideas if he's going to keep in touch with Ocon. And in my 2022 driver predictions, said that Ocon would probably be the one to go, not because he's a bad driver, but because I think Alonso is there for different reasoning. I think Alonso is there to help out the team moving into next season and understanding the car a little bit more. But Ocon is there on merit, and he was absolutely brilliant this weekend. Lots of people had him down as their driver of the day or their driver of the weekend. I think Ocon was really, really good. And I think it helped him that the AlphaTauris were absolutely awful. Pierre Gasly getting a 5-second grid penalty for not stopping in your grid box correctly. What? like that just really encapsulated his season so far. Every single race, it looks like he's about to do something. It looks like he's about to switch it on, He's qualified 5th twice this season and not finished anywhere near there. continually had these race issues, whether it's a little knock with Daniel Ricciardo, a 5-second penalty. Like, he just can't seem to switch it on. Still managed to end up in the points, though. Yuki Sonoda really letting the team down. But Gasly doing incredibly well. And whilst we're on Yuki Sonoda, his Saturday performance was atrocious. And what he said afterwards was even worse. It makes you wonder if they didn't sabotage his car, maybe just because they want rid of him already. He was incredibly critical of his team, incredibly critical of the Red Bull setup. The words that he used, the way that he, obviously, English isn't his first language. We know that he gets frustrated with the car. He continually lashes out during races. But when you qualify in Q1, like you're out before Q2, and it's because you've dipped your tyre into the gravel, like you've just got to take that on the chin. Like, he's got to be at this point now where he's raced long enough to understand he's got to take that on the chin. But he came out, he talked absolute shambles of an AlphaTauri team. And wow, just seeing that made me think, even though he had that absolutely amazing Bahrain race, we've seen nothing since then. And it could be on the cards that Sonoda isn't around for much longer, if I'm honest. But we'll see. Hopefully he can turn it around. He's incredibly, incredibly talented. It's nice to have a Japanese driver on the grid. I've always enjoyed that. But I don't know. I think they bring something different. It's going to be interesting to see how that unfolds, especially after he talks so much about the team after qualifying. Moving down slightly again then to Aston Martin. They still just haven't got the pace, have they? They really, really don't. I think maybe Bahrain, when Stroll got those points, was a bit of a fluke, or they just had a good day. I don't know, but they look really, really, really slow this weekend. I'm just having a look now. So obviously Stroll finished 11th, Vettel finished 13th, so far off the pace as well. Like, when you're getting split by the Alfa Romeos and you've got George Russell just behind you and you can't quite get into the points. Wow, really, really tough weekend for Stroll and Vettel again. And, are we going to see them just continually struggle throughout this year? They said they were bringing upgrades and then Stroll was even slower. Yes, he was quicker this week. I did have Vettel as my outside shout of getting into the top 10, and that was never even looking like it was going to happen. Yeah, really tough for Aston Martin. It'll be interesting to see where they go this season, but I don't know if they're going to be able to catch the Alpines, the AlphaTauris, and I think they're going to be maybe in that mix with the Alfa Romeos, which would be really disappointing for them after last season. Talking about Alfa Romeo, Kimi Raikkonen, just absolutely amazing. Again, he just has a way of turning up in a race. Obviously, last time out, if he doesn't crash into his teammate whilst fiddling around on his steering wheel, he has an amazing drive. And getting up towards the points again. Obviously, should have had those points in Imola, in my opinion. It was a stupid mistake from him. But I think he's going to end up getting points for Alfa Romeo, and that's what's going to separate them from the Williams and the Haas's of this world. Williams looked incredibly slow again. I think George Russell finishing 14th, got absolutely everything he could out of the car. And an incredible Saturday. Yeah, going to be a really tough season for Williams again. I thought they were maybe going to bring some more pace to this car, but I think they're just looking ahead at this point. 2022, completely rebrand, completely redo everything that you know about this team. I think it's going to completely change up. George Russell's probably going to end up moving to Mercedes. We're going to see a completely different lineup for Williams moving forward. And I think that's what they need, honestly. I think they just need a bit of a reset, a bit of a restart, and see what happens. On the topic of teams that probably are going to look very, very different next year, I imagine that Haas aren't going to be Haas anymore. I talked about that in my Haas video. I think they're probably going to get bought out. I think Gene's had enough. Schumacher was pretty good. Mazepin is now just getting on the nerves of literally every driver he can. He's now got in the way of Norwich during qualifying, so he's pissed off the McLaren team. He's just annoying everyone on the grid. I don't know if I've ever seen a driver get on the nerves of more of the pit lane than Mazepin is. It's just amazing, amazing to see. But there wasn't much to say about the Williams and the Haas team, apart from They're going to be battling out at the bottom there, aren't they? But it was Hamilton's weekend. Hamilton with 100 pole positions. He's an absolutely generational talent. I don't think we're going to see that again in my lifetime. He is absolutely incredible, and then converted it into a win after a really, really tough start to the race. But as I said at the beginning, let me know what your thoughts were for the Spanish Grand Prix. If you could, hit that subscribe button. That would be absolutely amazing. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time.